Some of my early jobs had me working in photographic studios, painting the floor or moving lights, and one day I graduated to making tea. Now, photographers use depth of field to draw a viewer's attention to particular parts of a photograph by making it sharper. Now, on the web, it's not really practical for us to make elements of a web page unsharp, but I am interested in experimenting to see how we can take principles of photography and bring them into how we design for the web. One of the criticisms of sites such as this, which is the Amazon.com homepage, is that there's so much content that viewers often find it difficult to know where to start reading. So I'm going to share with you some of my experiments in what I call web design depth of field. So I'm going to open up an experiment page in Dreamweaver, and here we can see that I've a simple XHTML document which contains 2 divisions and a bunch of paragraphs. Let's have a look at how that works in the web browser. Let's preview this in Firefox, and we can see that the 2 divisions have been styled into 2 columns, each with 2 paragraphs, with grey text over a white background. And at this point, there's no visual prominence to any one element, all of which are vying for our attention. Let's see what we can do to bring the viewer's attention to a particular element. Now I'm going to switch to another file. You can find all the exercise files for this in Chapter 6. In this next example, I'm changing the colour of the text in Content Main, which is the left-hand column, to black rather than grey. So let's preview this in the browser. And we can now see that the darker text on the left gives much more visual weight to that area of the page and defocuses the content on the right. Let's see what else we can do. Switching to another experiment, I'm now adding a background colour of white to the left-hand column, a background colour of a warm mid-grey to the right-hand column, and making the text for each of those columns black. Let's have a look at that in the browser. Interestingly, we can now see that the column on the right has gained visual priority because of the background colour. So, let's have a look at 1 or 2 more examples. Here, we're changing the text colour in the right-hand column back to the mid-grey. So, let's have a look at that in the browser and see which one of these columns now has visual prominence. Interestingly, now that we've reduced the contrast between the text and the background in the right-hand column, it's now the left-hand column which has gained visual prominence. So let's flick back into Dreamweaver, into our code editor. In this example, I've added an extra emphasis element around the text in the second paragraph of the content main. Now, the default browser style is to present emphasized text as italics, which is not the effect that I want to use here. So I've reset the style to normal rather than italicized text and changed the color of the text to black. So let's save that file, preview that in the browser. And interestingly now, despite the fact that that emphasized paragraph appears towards the bottom of the page, our eye is immediately drawn to the area which has the highest contrast. And now for the final example, I've also added an emphasized paragraph to the bottom of the content sub, or the right-hand column. So let's save the file, preview that in the browser. And now interestingly, we've got a combination of effects. Our eye is immediately drawn to the bottom 2 paragraphs on the page, which is not the place that we'd normally start to read. As for which paragraph has greater visual prominence, on the left or the right, I think I'll leave that up to you to decide.